Welcome to After Hours. My name is Rictor. I am your host.
Rictor!
What?
Leave him alone!
This shit is real.
Now we got Rictor going. We're going to have to hear about it all night.
Yeah.
That's a bunch of screaming memes out there, and that's the scoop that has been reported so far.
Thanks for dropping me like a stud.
I'm not interested in believing in something. Either it's real or it's not.
By your opinion that you are no-kill, you are dooming the species to be extinct.
They are what they are. It doesn't matter what we call them. Let's remove ourselves from them a little bit. And I think that's something that the Bigfoot community can actually learn a little bit from.
I actually am trying to push the envelope of science here.
When are we going to make a video, Rictor? And I mean not an X-rated one.
Dr. Todd, you've also been called the scoff dick.
Yeah, well.
Have these creatures stood against a backdrop of trees, I probably never would have seen them.
You can't talk about
I can!
So you guys are going to bag a Bigfoot and get us a body.
We're giving it our best efforts.
We thought that we had the holy grail of DNA.
Our hero, Bob Gimlin's with us.
Hello, is this thing on? Am I muted? Can you hear me?
Hey, Rictor, I've got a question for you. How does it feel to lose Bigfoot bounty?
My question is, why do you think Bigfoot is real?
Rictor does put a lot of effort into his costuming, doesn't he?
Yeah, well,
I mean,
by effort, if you mean bending over and picking up whatever's on the floor.
My.
Well, in my opinion, After Hours with Rictor is the #1 Bigfoot webcast.
What's your name again?
Don't piss Rictor off.
Rictor, behave.
All right, Dr. Bindernagel, I wanted to show you my DNA kit.
Oh, yeah.
This is what I'd be taking out in the field. So I have the paper envelopes for hair.
Right.
I have face masks.
Yes.
Plastic Ziploc bags for scat. Sterile gloves. Note taker, date, time. Saline solution. Sterile vials. I have sterile cotton tip swabs here.
Yep.
I have the tongue depressors. 2 forms of different tweezers. This is the kind that locks when you...
Yeah, that's a great kit.
And I've got gauze pads and alcohol to sterilize everything.
Yeah. Gee.
And the most important thing I could ever show you here, Bigfoot hair.
I see they send that.
Apparently you can buy that in stores.
I see. Okay. Well, there you go.
Yep.
Well, aside from that, you're very well prepared. I think.
Yeah.
I learned more prepared than I am, I must say.
I learned a great majority of that from Dr. Dissatel when I was on Bigfoot Bounty.
Yeah.
And then Kathy Strain helped me a great deal in making this even better.
Yeah. Good kit. Gee whiz.
You never know what you might find out in the woods.
Yeah, and it's always a problem, getting people. Oh, that's right. Getting people to pack stuff like I.
Right.
Of course, with plaster of Paris, it's always a big deal. You have to go back to your vehicle for it, and who wants to do that? Yeah, good.
Seal of approval.
Oh yeah.
High five. Yeah, here we go.
But that discovery has not yet been acknowledged. The evidence is not being scrutinized by some. No, the question is why. And so I go into that, and there is some justification. And I have bent over backwards, excusing my colleagues, saying, yeah, a lot of discoveries, they appear to be so far-fetched. They take a lot of time, But I mean, 150 years of unfolding, it's getting kind of long from sort of the onset to where we are now, and we're well along.
See, one of my arguments has been, look at British Columbia, look at the amount of forestation that has yet to be touched by man up there, considering the population. It's got to be thriving. And who says it? Not to refer to Todd Standing in regards to you. Todd Standing says, these species must be protected, they're endangered. Well, how do you know that? How do you know they need to be protected? They've been doing just fine all this time, and they're in an element where we're not. We're not out in the deep, dark forests of British Columbia. Do you think they need to be protected, or do you think they're doing okay on their own?
I wouldn't say okay. See, I think when I'm a practicing wildlife biologist, we worked on environmental impact study. Why you should, well, you may log this area or may not, and there may be an important wildlife species there, which requires maybe old growth forest. I don't think the Sasquatch is old growth dependent. It seems to require large tracts of basically undisturbed habitat, like unroaded wilderness. Yes, and I think they, I don't know about endangered. I think we'll be surprised how many there, if we ever get around to a survey, which will be pretty hard to do. But I believe there are more than we think. But in the area still so far, well, not always remote.
Well, look at the Albert Ostman story. I mean, back in 1924, he gets picked up and carried off by a male Sasquatch, allegedly, because it's still a story, and they didn't eat him, they didn't hurt him, and he wound up was able to escape from them. Nonetheless, there's probably these creatures are probably, especially in the deep dark parts of like British Columbia, have never seen a human being before. So like, Pacific North, like Washington, Oregon, Northern California, Area X in southeast Oklahoma, these things are familiar with humans. They're throwing rocks at us. They're not picking us up in our sleeping bags.
No, yeah.
So
yeah, just to sort of practice. It is intimidation. They're disturbed by our proximity,
right,
and they want us to go away, and they do things to promote that. Yeah.
Pause.
I think
Pause.
that's what's going on.
Pause.
Yeah.
Oh.
Spot that trap.
That's gone.
So that's always been my theory, is to go in the deep dark areas where no animals have seen a human being before. I think that's going to be the best chance. Because we're not a threat. They're like, well, what's that?
Yeah.
They'll be really more curious about what we are.
Maybe so. I don't know. Yeah.
Well, it's my feeling that, when you fly into an area like Oregon on the airplane, you can clearly see what's happening with the forest, because there's patch after patch after patch of new growth or completely stripped areas where the logging has occurred. And if Sasquatch is trying to live in these areas, where is he going to go eventually? Because there is not 1 square inch of this state that doesn't have that going on, where there's a forest. So eventually something is got to give. Eventually we're going to be able to discover them. Do you agree with that? Because they're running out of places to go unless they go up to Canada, where I assume the same thing is happening.
Well, I was going to say, you keep painting British Columbia in a good light. No, I don't think we've done a particularly admirable job of managing our forests.
Same kind of thing.
Very much so.
When you fly over, you see the patches of where it's been stripped, and they plant new trees, but new growth is not.
Well, see, this is the thing, and I wish we were further along in our research, because Sasquatches do tend to occur in second growth. They do seem to manage, there's a lot of food resources in second growth. It's not all bad, well-managed forestry, there's room for that, and I don't think we need to necessarily postulate old growth, but certainly large tracts of undisturbed areas seem to be used by them. But no, I think they're much more adaptable than, it's like orangutans, that sort of thing. But you see, we should be studying this sort of thing about habitat requirement, and we're still stuck on, does it or does it not exist? And oh my goodness, that is so boring not boring, it's so distressing, to people here who observe them and are out studying them weekends, and a few people like myself that,
Well, Cliff has already said it was going to require water, shelter, food. And if you take away the shelter, there's no food.
And the shelter would be the canopy of the forest.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And they seem to like rugged areas and remote areas, or at least access to rugged and remote areas, and certainly for nesting, maybe for breeding and raising.
Right
infants.
behind us here is a good example. This hillside, they were actually cutting all the trees down. We were here at this site last year.
I heard that.
And you look at it now, and it looks awful.
Yeah, it's all been taken away.
It's barren. It's
there are those years of regrowth, and and probably the forest that grows will never be quite as good as, won't be allowed to grow as much. But that's we've been a little bit single-minded with forests, wood fiber, at least in my generation. It's obviously changing and has been changing, but there is that legacy of just trees for wood and fiber. But
have you ever had a sighting?
Not one I normally talk about.
That you can identify as with a Sasquatch?
See, that's the problem. What I would, and if people said that I'm basing my sort of acceptance of the Sasquatch as existing based on this sort of sighting I had, I wouldn't want that.
Right.
I base it on more on the cast, and I don't disbelieve people, who, people say, oh, people tell you these stories for notoriety. They want fame and they want to be on a TV interview. Not the people I talk to. I have to seek them out, pry the report out of them. How did you get my name? Well, maybe I'll talk to you, maybe you won't. I won't. This. Yeah, okay. But they've told someone and they've been ridiculed or laughed at, and they say that don't need that. I'm not going to do that again. I hear a lot of that. Or sort of experience a lot of that. So. Which really bothers me.
Right.
We're supposed to be the open-minded, scientifically scientists who invite. Now this is unusual. I wonder how could that be? Where could that fit in? Now how could that possibly be? Yes, it seems to go against what we know of North American mammals and things. But this person seems very sincere, and then you start looking at all this corroborating evidence, and you say, something that should be treated more seriously than it is. That's all some of us are really asking for at this point.
Well, I have to say that Joan is one lucky woman.
Hey, I'm very lucky. She's still with me. Yeah.
After all this Sasquatchery.
That's right. Actually, there was one point I wanted to make with that book and how it came about, because after I had done this book and then I couldn't get it reviewed and then I said, what you seem to have done, John, is describe the anatomy and behavior of an animal not yet considered to exist, not yet having been discovered. So let's look at the discovery process and see what the holdup is. And so that's what led to that. And it was really quite revealing, because we scientists have all sorts of reasons for holding things off, saying, hey, we'll accept this increment, in our knowledge. But when there's a quantum leap like that, whoa, hold it there, that's too much.
Yeah.
And then you get into philosophy of science, and you have some scientists advising others, don't try to claim a huge leap like that unless you've got all the intermediate steps leading up to it, because journals will not accept the papers, which turns out to be true. So I'm trying to play the game, so to speak. Trying to do what's required, with a little bit of success. A few conferences have accepted papers I've submitted, but you present them, and your colleagues are sitting there like this, and it's not the most affirming sort of atmosphere to be. Anyway. And of course, I'm always looking over my shoulder now, like, John, maybe you're making this huge mistake. You've been led astray. You've exposed yourself. You're here, at this level, and your colleagues are they're not even on the page yet. And gee, they can't. They're not stupid, but they can be a little close, narrow-minded. Yeah, well, more than a little.
Yep.
A lot. Anyway, so that's.
As in any sport, activity, hobby, or scientific study, it's very opinion-based.
Yes. Actually, Angelo Caprella made a good point in his talk yesterday. He said, we have science and we have scientists. Science is very objective, and if followed, I always quote, I did quote in that book, Carl Sagan, how he's big on science, and he said, and this place for skepticism. But then he said, if you're too skeptical, you will miss some of the important discoveries, and which was very good coming from an eminent scientist.
And don't forget the scientician's definition. I will post down underneath.
Okay. But give us a roundabout with scientician. What's a scientician?
It's somebody that basically practices make-believe science.
Oh.
Catch them! Catch them!
Which my colleagues would call pseudoscience.
Yes,
and that's
exactly.
That's addressed in there, because this has been accused of being pseudoscience. And that's why we have to be, we as investigators have to be very careful about our claims. Sorry.
Okay, so
we're going to shut down here.
This is going to be the last thing. Okay, so right now, to the audience and to the future Bigfooters, what's the one bit of advice you want to give them to carry the torch forward?
Well, for a long time I used to think, whatever you do, don't take on anything that appears to be as far-fetched as the Sasquatch. Do something reasonable, like grizzly bears or black bears. No. That's me. That's my
joking.
That's my cynical.
Like, oh no.
That's my cynical self. And I don't know how this is all going to unfold yet. I think I'm going to hang in for a while, but I don't think I'm going to do anything rash and say that's it. I'm out of here. But it can get very. I guess.
Well, yeah, we all have our moments like, why am I in this? Because you get let down here, let down there. You have friends that wind up turning into hoaxers.
Yeah.
Stacy, bro.
Yeah. So
I'll bleep that. But yeah, it's just it gets frustrating, and it's like
I don't know what to say. You see that's the thing. I mean,
how about this? What's the one thing you have learned that you can tell them?
You see, my feeling is, especially if you've had the benefit of a university education, which I have had. In fact, I got my PhD in the U.S. in Wisconsin. At the cost to Wisconsin and American taxpayers. And as scientists, we have this kind of obligation, this professional obligation to return that. And so I think that's what I'm doing. I think I'm helping my scientific colleagues who don't really seem to want to be helped with regard to this. I think I'm helping the North American public by giving a slightly different take on the Sasquatch, which happens, I think, to be the correct take.
Right. So what you're saying is pay it forward. Give back.
Yeah.
So what research and education that you receive in life, especially if you're doing something with Sasquatch, you make your journals, you give your presentations, you provide what pieces of evidence, for the creature you put forward. You don't keep things and keep it hidden out of fear of ridicule and your colleagues, shaming you.
That's what I am doing. I don't want to sound self-righteous, but I think that's the way one is. There's a responsibility to do that. If this evidence is compelling to you, you should say so.
Yeah, be authentic. Be a show front runner. Put your best foot forward and say, "This is what I have. This is what I've researched. You can ridicule it all you want, but here it is."
This is my best take on this, and this is why. At great length. The reasoning, which I think is also very, very logical.
Yeah.
And the other thing, people here like amateur investigators, they very kindly, what do you think, John? I think, well, thanks for asking my opinion, but I mean, it's almost my obligation, if I find their evidence compelling, to take that and try and move it on into the scientific community, because I do have a bit of access, not so much as a lot of people think, but I do try to bring it to their attention, saying, you guys should look at this. I'm just the person in the middle. Who does speak that language, and I do have some credentials.
You know how to play the game.
Well, sort of, and I to keep up my professional membership dues and things like that.
Right. Well, thank you very much for being a part of our After Hours family. You're right up there with Les Stroud and Moneymaker and Bob Gimlin. So you are one of the most finest Bigfoot researchers and biologists out there, I think, in my opinion. I don't know.
Well, so many have done so much.
Right.
Yeah, that's right. It's very much a team effort. Yeah.
The discovery of the Sasquatch. Get this, people. It's Bigfoot 101. And also you can get the North American great ape, the Sasquatch, as well. But this is the crowning achievement of Dr. John Bindernagel. Right?
Well, yeah.
Don't be humble.
No, it's the best. My best shot.
It's your best shot. This is the shot right here.
Ladies, serious crush here. Serious crush on this man. This shit is real.
That's her new line. Because the past couple of years, it's been, why do you think Bigfoot is real?
Yeah.
So now for the opening, this shit is real.
Yeah, you have to pick the best one.
That's the best one right there compared to last night.
This shit is real.
No, is there something we might have missed? Is there a question that you've always wanted someone to ask you?
Thank you very much. You got. I think we got to it all. Great question. I'm relaxed and speak. I don't speak well, but I speak. I speak.
You speak awesome, and we got to get.
We'll do a great. Okay, wait. Let's take a group.
Yeah, a 3.
Anyway.
All right. There we go. Hi. We'll take us a picture. There you go, pal. Screen capture that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for taking the time to do this.
Oh, thank you. No. Oh, yeah, I
Here's
see.
the Stacy Brown thermal.
I see.
Would that be man-made, Tammy?
Well, I did leave out the shoelaces and the 6-pack of beer.
Ouch.
And this is, of course, my interpretation of Patty.
Good. Good.
So what color do
She
you
also
like?
has this on here. On her necklace right here.
Oh, that's nice.
The golden squatch.
Black's good.
You like black?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, here is a pendant from that's handmade out of fused glass.
Okay.
I cut these out myself, and this is our gift to you for helping us out with After Hours. And it's from Sweet Sassy Glassy.
.com.
Awesome. There you go.
Well, thank you very much.
Can't see it in the dark, baby. In the light. Oh, look at that. Patty.
Good. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Another hug.
Hey, my little Squatch monsters, it's time to shake up the Bigfoot community again with Off the Rictor Season 2. Booyah! Oh, don't you worry, the earrings are coming off. Last season, I held back. Now, I'm going full frontal. So who are we gonna shake up this season? Kelly Shaw with the Rocky Mountain Sasquatch Organization?
Kelly Shaw, Rocky Mountain Sasquatch Organization.
Or Michael Merchant with the Rictor?
Speaking of Rictor.
That old queen should be in charge of my promotional material. Oh, and then there's Bill Brock's fluffer, Stacy Brown.
I'm sure all of you have seen Rictor's new show. Very nice, Rictor. You have no self-respect.
I don't know. You just have to watch and find out. Booyah!